Let's do it. All right. I'm talking Luke Stewart. Luke Stewart is a 23-year-old black man in Ohio who was illegally sleeping in his legally parked car in 2017 when officers Matthew Rhodes and Louis Catalini did not announce themselves as officers and opened Luke's car, trying to forcibly remove him. Surprised, Luke struggled and attempted to drive away. Rhodes then jumped into the passenger seat, punched him, tasered him 6 times, hit him in the head with the taser, and then shot him 5 times, killing him. All this in about 1 minute, with Luke never hitting back. Neither officer has
Mhm.
been charged or disciplined, and the civil lawsuit has now been thrown out because of qualified immunity, which is a defense that law enforcement can use to avoid monetary damages for alleged civil rights violations, basically saying that they're immune if the law they violated isn't, quote, clearly established. So, my question to you guys, can anyone please explain why qualified immunity makes any sense? Start with Robbie.
Oh, sure. Pick on the Canadian kid. Um, yeah, I mean, I didn't understand qualified immunity when you presented it as a topic. I've read up on it over the last couple of hours while I'm doing my homework, and I don't know that I have a firmer grasp on qualified immunity, but it
Doesn't
looks like
make
it's something
sense.
that was really meant to protect well, protect officers from gray areas and unforeseen changes in the law, but it seems to be abused in its application
Yep.
from what I'm seeing.
Lizzie?
I think that's a justifiable explanation, Rob. It's it has a lot of gray areas. It's something, in my experience, isn't necessarily used that often. I'm not necessarily as concerned about the qualified immunity here. I'm more concerned about the fact that the grand jury came back and decided not to indict this officer for what he did. It is at least it was presented, to the grand jury that when he knocked on the door of Mr. Stewart's car, on the window of Mr. Stewart's car, he didn't identify himself as a police officer.
Right.
Mr. Stewart asked him, "Why are you in my car?" And he decided to jump in anyway and assault this young man. Ended up killing him. So I'm more concerned about that, and what was the grand jury thinking, in that they decided they weren't going to indict him. So not only will there be no civil liability attached, but no criminal liability as well.
Yeah, let me get Mayor Patrick in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is actually a big issue, qualified immunity in Maryland this last year, where it really held up. There was an attempt to do some reform to the rules governing police, and it held it up and really got it stuck because of that. And ultimately, they ended up not repealing qualified immunity. But basically, the rule says that you have to have an established, well-established rule that the police are violating. The problem is that there's what's what well-established rule is really subjective, and in this case, you would think that taking a guy and who's sleeping in the back of his car and then killing him would be there would be a rule against that, but apparently it's not so clear.
Yeah, I totally agree with you guys. Let me get to these comments online. Yeah, I don't even need to comment on it. I totally agree with what you're saying. All right. So, Mike Winter, this definitely needs to kill. They definitely need to kill a man who is sleeping in his car, protecting and serving at its finest. Qualified immunity, my ass. Also, that is not all within the scope of their duties as officers of the peace. Qualified immunity is to protect all government workers who are acting in the scope of their duties. Um, Jacqueline Robbins says our Supreme Court is all for it. Yeah. So qualified immunity just makes absolutely no sense to me personally. But it is what it is. Are we calling this truth, lies, or shenanigans? I'm
Um,
going with
Hmm.
definite lies. Sorry, we don't have your you don't we don't have your paddles. Where do you go? Truth, lies, or shenanigans?
Shenanigans. I'm voting
Shenanigans.
shenanigans.
I got lies. What you got, Robbie?
I got truth and shenanigans. It's a sad truth, and there's definitely some shenanigans going on.
Lizzie, what was yours?
Shenanigans.
Shenanigans. All right. Let's get on to our second quick fire topic. All right, Robbie.
All right. So the NHL has rightfully suspended 30-year-old San Jose Sharks power forward Evander Kane for 21 games for submitting a fake COVID-19 vaccination card. So, because of this, Kane will be forfeiting about $1.68 million of his $7 million salary for this season, with the money going to the Players' Emergency Assistance Fund. So, my question to the panel is, what should the Sharks do about Kane? And if they trade him away, who would want him? Incidentally, San Jose just lost to the Bruins 4-3 just prior to the show.
Your team, the Bruins. Let's start with Lizzie.
Just saying.
Lizzie.
Why does Evander Kane refuse to do right? Why does he refuse to do right? He just got cleared of gambling, excessive gambling by the NHL, which was an allegation that was brought forth by his soon to be
Mhm.
ex wife. Right after that, she filed a restraining order against him, accusing him of domestic violence and episodes of sexual assault. Now he's, creating fake vaccination cards. Like, what in the hell? What is going on? But as we've seen on numerous occasions, he's a talented athlete. So I don't doubt for a fact that once this suspension is over with the Sharks, if they release him, somebody else will pick him up. As long as it's not the Washington Capitals, I'm good. I'm good.
Mayor Patrick, what are your thoughts?
So what I don't get of this is there's not even I read there's not even a vaccination requirement in place for the players. So why did he submit this false vaccinate proof of vaccination? I think
It could
I mean
be.
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it could be like the NHL doesn't have one in place, but individual states do, or individual
Mm.
cities in states, kind of like what we're seeing with Kyrie Irving. So he could have,
Yeah.
wanted to get in front of that situation, but he's a mess. He's a mess. But go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, yeah. So what are the I mean the choices are trade or keep him. Can't they just fire his ass and get him out of there?
Right. Waivers.
I guess he's on a
Unfortunately,
contract for 7 years.
he's under contract. Yeah.
Can't they? Isn't there a breach for or termination for breach of contract or something? There's got to be some rules to that contract.
I'm with Mayor
I don't
Patrick.
think
Get
it
rid of him.
covers the vaccine. I don't think it covers vaccine cards yet. We haven't caught up to
What are your
COVID yet.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Robbie?
Well, like Lizzie was saying, Kane is no stranger to controversy. And I know that they posted an apology on his behalf where he owns up saying, I made a mistake. And he's participating in counseling to help him make better decisions in the future. But you didn't make a mistake. You fabricated a lie. You went out of your way to provide falsified documents. That's not a mistake. That's a goddamn plan that you executed. So I don't know, put him on waivers, get rid of him because it's someone who just doesn't have the interests of the team at heart.
All right.
I love the timing on that.
All right. Is this truth, lies, or shenanigans?
Oh man. What you say, Patrick?
Shenanigans,
I got
the
I'd say
lie.
lies, and
Lies, okay.
he's telling lies.
all right.
Mhm.
The
Okay, so
devil.
Patrick and I both agree. Lies. The devil is a liar. The devil
Shenanigans,
is a
trying to
liar.
cheat, trying to cheat. Got shenanigans. All right. Let's get on to our third and final quick fire. Mayor Patrick, you're up.
All right, so this is a complicated thing, but there's basically the entire Democrats' agenda relies on these infrastructure bills that they're hoping to pass. The first one has bipartisan support, but what's holding it up is that there are a number of more progressive Democrats who don't want it to move forward until this bigger package that's under consideration, which is the bipartisan agreement has physical infrastructure, roads and highways and transit in it. The second piece has all the social stuff like community education, childcare, all sorts of stuff to help us get out of the pandemic. What's holding that up is these two people in the Senate, Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema, known as being the moderate Democrats, but they have held this bill hostage because that bill is being passed on a partisan basis by the Democrats only. They need every single Democrat on board and Manchinema, as they're known, Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, are demanding things, and nobody really is quite sure exactly what they're demanding. So the article that I shared showed that they're getting a lot of money from lobbyists that are helping shape basically shape what their positions on this bill are going to be. So I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Robbie?
Well, when I was reading up on it, Manchin said that he's not against Biden's desire to enact social reforms, but he's balking at the price point on it. He's thinking less than half of the 3.5 trillion that's been proposed. And Cinema, from what I'm seeing, her objectives haven't been made public, but she's getting a lot more face time at the White House, and people are talking about her. So I guess that's kind of good. But I know that her supporters are getting ready to jump ship on her too. Like, if she does not help move this forward, then they're going to be going ahead with a pledge of a non-confidence vote. So someone's trying to keep her in check.
Yeah. Lizzie?
I mean, it doesn't surprise me. This happens on both sides, both Republicans and Democrats. I think a lot of times we just get shocked, okay, because there's this idea in this country that everything that the Republicans do is evil, everything that the Democrats do is good. But to me, this just falls in line with, no offense, Patrick, this falls in line with a lot of politicians. This falls in line with a lot of politicians, at least ones in Washington. Patrick's in College Park. But it does not surprise me that, they are,
He might be in Washington
basically
soon.
okay. And so we expect better, Patrick, if you make it to Washington. We expect better, damn it. But it doesn't really surprise me that they're doing a filibuster, if you will, holding things up while pocketing money on the side. Like, it's just
Yeah.
it's Capitol Hill. It's the Capitol Hill way. What we need is other Democrats to speak out about it and put some pressure on them. We need constituents to speak out about this mess and put pressure on them.
We're out of time, but I just want to say I will say that I get frustrated with Democrats, where Republicans, of course, it happens on both sides, but Republicans tend to be more unified when the time comes, and Democrats, unfortunately, I feel sometimes get lost in all of the money and all of the politics of it, and because how long are we going to hold the Senate and the House?
Right.
But Mayor Patrick, your thoughts? I'm gonna give you about 20 seconds.
Yeah. So I mean, I just really think that the fact that it's come down to this, that that we're in a system that's so polarized and divided, that it really comes down that we need now to get this is a lot of this is very popular stuff that's in this bill. I mean, we're talking about childcare, we're talking about education, things that are universally
Yeah.
popular. But the fact that two people can hold it up really shows kind of how messed up our system.
Yeah. All right. So let's get to some of these comments online. I actually missed the comments earlier. So the breach of contract issue on Kane is dependent on CBA, and that was from Reuven Gorin. And then Olivia also says, well, it's illegal to make a fake COVID card, so why don't they let him be prosecuted? Interesting. All right. So as far as Manchinema, Mike Winter says moderate is not the right term. Bought and paid for is more like it.
Ooh, snap.
Jacqueline Rob says Arizona Democrats, someone slipped a joker in your deck. I don't expect much from Manchin, but Cinema is appalling. The stunt queen who needs to be primaried. And Mike Werner pointed out I didn't shush myself. I mean, they did use Lizzie and Robbie used all my time. Get one comment. All right.
So what say we on Manchinema?
Is this truth, lies, or shenanigans?
What you say, Patrick?
Shenanigans.
Yep, I'm with you.
Shenanigans.
I'm all about shenanigans on this one.
Shenanigans.
This is all about shenanigans. All right. Great. Those were some great topics. Thank you, Patrick, for that topic. All right. So let me get to, I just want to let you know, our sponsor for Quickfire today was Good Stuff Juices, making the world a better place with their organic, cold-pressed, flavorful juices, which are made every morning in their juice factory. Try out their new fall juices at goodstuffjuices.com. Delivery is available nationwide in the U.S. All right, it is time for our